Duffy.
Present.
Mr. Lush.
Here.
Mr. McAndrew.
Present.
Mrs. Oleski. Present. Mr. Schuster.
Present.
Mr. Timlin. Mr. Sheridan.
Present.
7 present, 2 absent.
Thank you. Solicitor's report. Attorney John Menard.
Yes, there was an executive session held on the following dates: October 2nd, 2017, to discuss personnel, real estate negotiation, and litigation. October 25th, 17, and 26th, 17. I'm sorry. October 26th, 17, and 25th, 17, to discuss personnel, staffing, and negotiations. October 31st, 2017, and this evening to discuss personnel, real estate, litigation, and negotiations, specifically staffing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Menard. Superintendent's report. Dr. Killian.
I have no comments this evening, Mr. Sheridan.
Thank you. Okay, before we start public comment, we just want to give the information that we're going to allow an hour for public speaking. You'll be allowed 5 minutes, and we'll start with Cheryl Spager.
Good evening, Dr. Kirian, board members, parents, taxpayers, colleagues, and students. My name is Cheryl Spager, and I am a proud member of the SFT Union and an educator in the Scranton School District for the past 16 years. At this time, I humbly like to address the rumors of program cuts to family and consumer sciences as well as woodshop and industrial arts. I was recently told one of our board members did not realize that home ec was also, or the same program, family and consumer sciences, so I did want to clarify that. As an educator, I am heartbroken at the thought of students losing our valuable life skills programs. A large percentage of our population is considered at risk, and they truly need to learn to care for themselves. At South, my colleague teaches students how to cook for themselves and how to stay on a tight budget. We teach them how to do laundry. Sometimes they do their own laundry in the sink at home because they don't have access to washers and dryers. Nutrition is also a big part of our curriculum. On a recent afternoon, I stopped by my colleague's classroom to see a large selection of food products organized by serving sizes. For example, half a bagel, half a cup of juice, protein the size of a deck of cards. At that moment, I had a flashback. I realized I paid Weight Watchers $20 a week for the same information. Students in her classes use fresh ingredients and they learn how to cook, as many students eat highly processed foods because of their low income stature. This week in my class, we are working on how to interview for a job. Big stuff for an 8th grader. You see, many students want to get their first job. They need the money. Last Sunday, I went to Mass at the cathedral and walked over to Papa's Pizza with my family. Sure enough, one of my former students, Ayalisa, was working. 3 years prior, she went through my class where she filled out job applications and conducted mock interviews. She asked who was hiring. I said, call around. She said, what? I said, let's learn how to use the telephone. She said, why? I said, because you teenagers really don't know how to use the phone. You just like to text. So we're gonna make an old-fashioned phone call. And sure enough, we looked up the numbers. We called Wendy's, Papa's Pizzas, McDonald's, Garrity's, Dunkin' Donuts, etc. We found out Papa's was hiring. She went down, filled out an application, got the interview, and got the job. 3 years later, she was the person in charge on a Sunday night. Surely a success story from the Family Consumer Science Department. At this time, I'm thinking of inviting Katie Gilmartin to my class, as she's newly elected, to talk to my students about dressing for success and what they should do on a job interview. And maybe Barb Dixon could come back to South and tell us what was she looking for in an employee and how could a young person keep a job. Now for woodshop and industrial arts. How can you take away such a valuable resource, especially on the high school level? How can we prepare students and attract potential employers without this program? These students learn how to operate machines, measure, take direction, and produce a product. My daughter has a friend who is a senior here at Scranton High. He is in a senior level woodshop class. He is planning to apply as a carpenter's apprentice and eventually to join the union. How will these students get into these programs with no background? Another success story from our Family and Consumer Science Department starts with the student Malik Thomas, who was at risk and didn't have many resources and spent a lot of time at the Boys and Girls Club. He is now in the culinary program at Lackawanna College. He was recently profiled in the Scranton Times. He said that he owes it to his biggest influence, his middle school teacher, my colleague. This is a direct result of the middle school cooking at South Intermediate. In 2016, an opinion piece from the Journal of American Medicine made the case that revamped family and consumer science classes could help combat child obesity and called for a mandatory food preparation curriculum. I have always admired the Scranton School District for their commitment to the related arts. As an avid reader of the Scranton Times, I see the reports of mismanagement and I feel bad for the hardworking taxpayers of Scranton and their students. Students are entrusted to you to have a well-rounded education. The whole world is not just math and science, but we do support math and science in all the core classes. On Labor Day, my family joined me with the SFT as a wreath was laid at the statue of John Mitchell. Later, I spoke to the representatives of the local unions about how may I address the trades more clearly when I work in my career union. They said we need more apprentices. I have to finish, okay. My students get a presentation from the IBEW and local unions. This is important information. PA has made a big effort to push careers in the trades. Our students attend local colleges such as Johnson Colleges, and they're the people working to build our buildings. Related arts are important. In conclusion, I would like to thank you for your time and attention this evening. As a teacher with a brother on a local school board, I know this is a thankless job as well as a difficult job. I ask for your prudence and wise judgment when making your difficult financial decisions. Our students are depending on you. Thank you.
Patrick Festa.
Good evening, members of the Scranton School Board. I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Patrick Festa. I'm a third grade teacher at McNicholas Plaza Elementary School, a proud member and the second vice president of the Scranton Federation of Teachers, Local 1147. The reason for my speaking tonight stems from my personal belief that the Scranton School District that I have worked in for 32 years and proudly sent my own children to is at a serious turning point and crossroads. Faced with deep concerning financial woes, the district now has in front of them a disturbing report issued from our state's Auditor General that clearly paints a picture of a house gone wrong. Warning signs ignored, this report is crystal clear in the areas of financial mismanagement and must now be dealt with. And there lies my concern. That being, which stakeholders will now bear the burden of the actions that led to the present state of financial affairs. It must be clearly stated that I am here emphatically to tell you that this burden must not be put upon the teachers, paraprofessionals, and the students of the Scranton School District. The problems that The problems that lie in front of you today were not caused by the teachers, paraprofessionals, and students of the Scranton School District, but rather by the actions or inactions of governing school boards and administrations. Frankly, my deep fear is that the easy answer will be to pass the burden to us. My fear is that furloughs, layoffs, and elimination of programs will become the word of the day and be the actions looked at by you, the board, to mend the sinking ship of which me or my colleagues didn't put holes in. It is my fervent belief that the public school teacher is under siege, federally from an education department led by Betsy DeVos, who is proudly devoid of any concern for public education. On the state level, from a legislature and a governor that singles out my profession as the only one in which seniority doesn't matter. And now locally, from an administration and board who hold dear a PFM report, which astoundingly didn't mention any of the Auditor General's red flags, but like a hired hitman, listed every conceivable cut to teaching and learning that was humanly possible. Again, the Auditor General report is here. The Auditor General's report is clear. The teachers, paraprofessionals, and students were not once mentioned in this report. I urge you to look within this report and place the burden of the financial decisions to be made where they belong. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, President Sheridan and remaining members of the Scranton School Board. My name is Stephen Bartnicki. I'm a West Scranton resident, homeowner, taxpayer, and voter. I am also a proud teacher at West Scranton High School and a member of the Executive Board of the Scranton Federation of Teachers. Until the recent discovery and publication of the real truth behind the financial deficit in the Scranton School District, the blame had always been placed entirely on the cost of teacher contracts. However, as we have always known, and as per Pennsylvania State Auditor General Eugene D. Pasquale, this favorite assertion, or rather excuse, for gross financial mismanagement and political corruption has finally and permanently been disproved. By now, it is readily apparent to every taxpayer in our city that this blaming of school teachers was a purposeful and devious deception. We can only hope that the IRS finds no further proof of such deception and theft from the taxpayers and students in Scranton. Adding insult to injury and continuing to perpetrate deception, the Scranton School Board hired with taxpayer money PFM, a company which serves only to reinforce and legitimize this deception. This was done in a lame attempt to discredit the results of the fact finder's report. The financial cost of this fair and unbiased fact finder's report was split between the school district and the Scranton Federation of Teachers, ensuring that the investigators had no allegiance to either side. This fact finder's report concluded that the school board should extend the existing teacher's contract as it currently stands for the following 2 years. Still attempting to dupe the public and hide the truth, the district-funded PFM has been completely discredited by the true revelation of mismanagement and corruption. As the old saying goes, you cannot unring a bell. So after years of deception and finger-pointing, the public, plus state and federal authorities, have learned that the dysfunction in this district cannot be blamed on the teachers, nor on the students, who are already being denied opportunities that our tax money should entitle them to. I strongly advise this board to stop hiding behind the teachers and the students and follow the fact-finding report by extending the contract as it currently stands. Cut no more programs. Provide the students of our city with the educational opportunities that they deserve, and stop making threats against them. Auditor General D. Pasquale stated that there is already more than enough revenue coming in to fund this district as long as the mismanagement and corruption come to a halt. I stand before you here doing what I have chosen to do as my life's work. That is, to educate using the truth. I hope that I have succeeded here in this auditorium tonight, particularly concerning those elected officials who sit in front of us. Thank you for your kind attention.
Good evening. My name is Judy Kilmer, a West Scranton homeowner, taxpayer, and voter. I am also a proud teacher at West Scranton High School, as well as a proud member of the Scranton Federation of Teachers. Over the last few years, I have stood before this board and spoken to you about just how not only unfair, but very detrimental to the success of our students, as well as to the city of Scranton itself, cutting graduation requirements and programs would prove to be. I have spoken about the hearts and souls which consist of everyone in this district who actually come in contact with the students on a daily basis. However, it has all fallen on deaf ears. It was all shamelessly voted on and carried out by this board. Now, though, even city officials agree with me, with this SFT body and with each parent and student in this auditorium tonight. But my intention tonight is aimed at solutions to the irresponsible actions perpetrated by those whom I am sure the Attorney General of the state of Pennsylvania will in time bring to light and to justice. None of this, though, helps us solve our financial woes right now. In order to do so, I urge the following, as you have stated, hard decisions. 1, I propose the expedient formation of an ethical/educational oversight committee whose purpose is to ensure no further damage is perpetrated on the 10,000 students, nor to the taxpayers of this city. This committee must be comprised of both teachers and taxpayers, only with no more deference given to politicians on any level. Yes, as teachers, we might be considered compromised, but I believe if we appoint teachers who live in this city, pay taxes in this city, vote in this city, and send their children to the Scranton School District to be educated, we negate any complicity. Such teachers have a vested interest in all aspects affecting the school district and Scranton itself. Such a committee would certainly demand and deliver complete transparency in all circumstances. Tonight, I volunteered to be part of this necessary committee. I further propose the only immediate solution to our financial deficit and it is one that I have heard presented to this board in the past, and that is to sell the administration building, to streamline central administration, and to place the absolutely necessary offices within the schools, close to the actual students for whom we should all be here. For some time now, the goal of so many in this district has been to enter the ivory tower with all the prestige that comes with such a promotion. As a matter of record, most of the money saved through the last 2 incentive buyouts was not given back to the students nor to their needs, but to the raises of the administrative staff. Such raises ranged, I am told, from anywhere from 5% to 30%. What a misappropriation of funds to a financially distraught district. If personal finances are somehow disrupted, the responsible adult, first and foremost, takes care of the absolute necessities: shelter, food, utilities, basic clothing. He/she delays such expenditures as unnecessary but desired home improvements, new cars, and the like. This has never been the case with the Scranton School District. The shining administration building has been well maintained, even with superb lighting fixtures along the street outside the building at taxpayers' money. Almost yearly, personal desires of administration have been added for personal luxury. Taxpayers in this city simply cannot afford luxuries and extravagances. Many do without even necessities to pay their taxes in an attempt to keep their homes, while the administration building shines in all its glory at the expense of these often elderly and on fixed income taxpayers. Also, since communication technology is as expedient as it is today, offices throughout the district should be no problem. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see this building stand as a beacon of the light of education for each and every Scranton School District student. But the respect and pride in the Scranton School District is so diminished throughout the entire county, so much so that it now stands in darkness, representing an educationally crumbling district. We must attempt to restore some degree of respect and pride in our, not just your, but our school district. We must attempt to restore educational opportunities to our students and to establish trust in our taxpayers. I have given you 2 viable recommendations to begin this journey. I sincerely hope you take them into consideration. Thank you for your time.
John Walsh.
I'm a 30-year citizen of Scranton, Pennsylvania. I like Scranton. I lived in State College 8 years previous to that. I left State College. The fact of the matter is that we're finding a lot of issues right across the whole board, whether it be City Hall, the county administrators, school boards, and it's just incredible. Now, I went after the Auditor General to basically do an audit, forensic audit of Scranton, and their situation since they took over the pension fund. Now, he hasn't released that information yet, and there's going to be some serious consequences to pay there. Coming back to the county, I filed a letter with the Auditor General today, basically asking them not to allow the Breyer law firm to supersede, let the chips fall where they may, and not to hide. If you guys want to lawyer up for what's coming on you guys, lawyer up personally. But if you think the taxpayers should pay for that, you got another thing coming, because they have no problem filing lawsuits in the county court and basically holding your feet to the fire for what's transpired, okay? The fact of the matter is that, you know, it's your fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers to be accountable and responsible for what you do. Now, I also believe that these teachers out here would be happy to do their own board, be their own board members, because I know my 2 daughters went through school here, and I was immensely pleased by what they're both in college today. And what came out of here was, thank you. You're welcome, and thank you, okay? The idea that a lot of intelligent people up here, okay? And they would hold themselves and their feet to the fire to basically say, hey, we can't do that. We have a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers. So, like my boss used to say, if you don't think you're replaceable, I'll take you for a tour of the graveyard and I'll show you all the irreplaceable people there. Okay? So the fact of the matter is that my ideas are in front of you. I think you might want to study them. I've been studying them for years to basically get to this point, and I think they're very rational, they're very logical, they're very intelligent, common sense. People throw the word common sense out there like everybody's got it. Okay? The thing about it is you need to have intelligent, logical common sense. You need a prerequisite to common sense. Okay? These people just didn't get off a bus and walk in here and start teaching. They basically prepared to come to this school. Okay? And from Robert Morris to Northeast to here, I was pretty much pleased what transpired within the educational realm. If I had an issue, I brought it to the principal addressed it, and he used to say, Walshy, I'm watching you. You know, I'm watching out for you. You know, Mr. Jordan out there, he told me he was going to stay to the end, but my kid's going through that school, and he bailed out at me. And I said, Jordan, you told me you were staying to the end. He goes, yeah, Walshy, they have all this stuff coming at me. I'm too old for this stuff, okay? But he isolated troublemakers and took them under his wing, okay? He didn't ostracize them, okay? He identified who they were because the kids knew who the bullies were, who the troublemakers were, and he just basically addressed the issue. The same thing with the Northeast principal. My kid was getting bullied on the bus. I brought it to their attention, stopped immediately. Okay? So when I had concerns, I brought them to the appropriate authorities, and I did threaten to go to you guys after visiting the superintendent, but they basically saw it my way. And I guess they didn't want to, see me, because your thing goes to the principal, to the superintendent, to the board. I said, I'll take it right to the board. I have no problem taking it to the board. And Mr. Lesh knows how effective I've been, because I helped him out with the bus transit company when he asked me to help him out. And I kept the powers to be in Harrisburg to run the buses like they were. And there was no cutbacks, not that I'm aware of. I don't know the internals. But thank you.
Michelle Petraeus?
Hello, Dr. Carrion and board members. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am a small business owner here in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I reside here in the city. My husband is a faculty member in the Family and Consumer Sciences program at Northeast Intermediate, and both of my children are educated within your school system. There are plenty of rumors, of which many have been addressed already. One of my concerns as a parent and taxpayer is that I attended a meeting during the spring at which the rollout of the Scranton One program was presented by Dr. Carrion. During the speech, it was mentioned that the new goal of the district was the education of our student population for the current workforce and the creation of life-sustaining jobs in our city so that our students would be able to remain in the city. Our current financial situation indicates that that's not going to happen, and it is a concern for me. Excuse me. My biggest problem after walking out of that meeting was that this is a switch and a change and a new goal. I always thought that's what was expected of educators, to prepare our children for their future. There are The elimination of courses is one of the rumors that I keep hearing. Family and consumer sciences, technology education, music and art. All of these programs continue to provide an opportunity for a well-rounded education in all of our children's lives, and I believe that they're necessary. You have some amazing teachers within this district who are able to touch the lives of students in special ways. My two children both have special concerns, and the ability of the Scranton School District to meet them to date has been amazing. We have had some hiccups. There have been bumps in the road. However, both of them are thriving at the current situation. One is here in the high school and the other is in Northeast. We know more today, our teachers know more today, about a variety of learning methods, and they employ them to the best of their abilities. I am concerned for all of our teachers with what is currently going on in the budget. We all have special talents to offer. Not everyone will succeed in everything that we do. This is an opportunity for the school district to come up with a relevant program with the current educators to make our children successful. And I hope and pray that you can take that challenge on. Thank you.
Matthew Loftus.
Good evening. Matthew Loftus. I'm a city taxpayer and proud member of the SFT. And my colleagues have already said most of what needs to be said rather well. But you know, I'm a proud product of the Scranton School District from K to 12. And one of the things I valued in my education was that I had opportunities from kindergarten right through high school to identify what I was best at and what I would succeed at in life. And through the years, I've watched programs leave. When I was in middle school, there was an electric shop and drafting, and there were foreign languages that aren't currently offered. They're gone. And my fear is that students going forward won't have the same opportunities that I had going through this school in the 1980s and 90s. And that is truly a shame. And so please take a look at the Auditor General's report, look at the PFM report, and ask questions about both of them. Try to find the source of the financial crisis that we're in and deal with the real issues rather than trying to blame any particular group or point fingers at any group or eliminate teaching positions, which in the end will impact students directly. Teachers, paraprofessionals, they're there to work with the students, to give them the opportunity that they should have. And the taxpayers, we've been very fortunate that they've funded the system that we work in, and we appreciate that very much. So please study and look at those reports and try to keep everything in place as it is. Thank you.
James McGough.
Good evening. My name is Jim McGough. I'm a taxpayer of the city of Scranton. My taxes have gone up $800 in 5 years. This is all about money and saving money. It's not about laying people off. It's about firing the administration. The Auditor General has uncovered a tremendous expense to you people. Somebody started that, and the Auditor General and the local district attorney Attorney General, they're going to get to the bottom of that. So some of you guys are going to wear handcuffs.
Excuse me a second. We will not take any personal attacks on anybody on this board. Please speak in manner. There's been nobody charged with anything here. This school district will not allow some personal attacks. So please go on with your...
That's true. Mr. Lynch, you said that it took 3 years, you're quoted as saying that, it took 3 years for that situation regarding the mechanic to get an opinion from our solicitor. Is that true?
I didn't make that comment.
You didn't make the comment.
No, I didn't say it.
Mr. Chairman, do you know if that's true?
Who are you addressing to?
I addressed it to him. He denies it. I'm asking you, is it true?
What was the question again? No, I don't. No knowledge of Mr. Lush making that comment.
Well, it was written in the newspaper.
Do you read it? Do you believe everything that's in the newspaper?
When it's written by some people, I do. Not all people, but some people I do. Okay, I'm going to give you some scenarios to save money. Up in Waverly, we have an animal shelter that they found things that weren't quite right. You know what they did? They cleaned house. And that's what you need to do. You need to clean house from the top to the bottom. And if you take every one of your administrators, your directors, get rid of them, and let their assistants do the work because they do it anyway, and you're going to save $1 million. The next thing you have to do is sell the administration building and take everybody over to Lincoln Jackson School, which you own. With those 3 comments, or those comments, what you have to do is save about $3 million, just like that. And now I hear that our Mr. Sunday is leaving. I hope we're not going to give him a balloon when he leaves.
Again, we will not have any personal attacks. Talk to the gentleman tonight, and we will not allow any personal attacks.
Well, it's not meant to be a personal attack. It's meant to be a direction or a request from you not to give out money to somebody that's leaving our district for any reason. And if you take all the savings from those that you did give money to, we would be in less financial trouble. So you probably haven't marked anything down, but if you clean house, be like Mr. Trump says, clean the swamp. Put a light moment on this. You guys got a lot of guts to sit in front of this backdrop.
Suzanne Fury.
Good evening, my name is Suzanne Fury, and I am a proud member of the SFT, and I'm a very proud member of the staff at Neil Armstrong in first grade. And I have always been so proud to be a member of this district, which I love dearly. And I echo everything that my colleagues have said, and I'm going to try not to repeat anything they have said, but things have to change. The Auditor General in his report specifically stated that any future financial decisions made by the school board to deal with the budget deficit may not harm our students or their families because the debt is not their responsibility. They are innocent victims. Any proposed cuts in programs, curriculum, or staff will do just that. It will harm the children. We are here for the children. They did nothing. Their families are paying taxes, are doing the best they can. They are victims. We are victims as well. We also, as teachers, did not create this financial situation. And we should also not be victims either. Please do not add insult to injury by inflicting any more harm upon our students and families because of the decisions of the board and the administration. Do not punish our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rosemary Bowen, SFT.
Good evening, directors. My name is Rosemary Boland. I'm a resident of the city of Scranton, and I'm a taxpayer, and I'm the president of the Scranton Federation of Teachers, and I'm pretty proud of that. When I decided to run to be the president of this union, it was because my members and I, as a teacher in this district, were getting raped by enormous health care bills. No other teachers anywhere were paying the amounts of money that we were paying for health care. Teacher after teacher came before the current board at that time and resigned their positions here, and one after the other gave the reason that they could no longer afford to work for the Scranton School District. That's a hard thing to sit and listen to, that people left this district. Highly qualified teachers left this district. We had teachers at that point in time who qualified for CHIPS to help their families take care of their kids. A teacher in the Scranton School District earning a salary at that time to start in this district, the original salary was $34,500. By some quirk, that salary was reduced to $30,000, and we've been trying to rebuild that ever since. This is my 13th year as the president of this union, and 3 years ago, my union and I sent right-to-know request to the district regarding a mechanic in the city of Scranton. We were told that this mechanic was getting free health care. He was on our health care. We sent a right-to-know notification to the state to find out if this person had PSERS. Was he a part of PSERS? We were told he was not a part of PSERS, but yes, indeed, he was receiving free health care in the Scranton School District. That's a pretty nice thing to give some person not employed by this district free health care while the rest of us were paying our co-pays, our deductibles, and premium. It's a bitter pill to swallow, especially for me, because people told me at the time that I was going to be not able to figure out the language of the healthcare system, that I'd have to spend hours and hours to learn the vocabulary. And my response to any such nonsense is, if it's written in English, I can figure it out. I was taught how to read a long, long time ago, and I still have that skill. So, I want that money back. I want every dime of that money back. And if no one knows how to calculate that amount of money, I'll do it for you. It's pretty simple stuff. The second thing, I take my car in for service, and no mechanic in my lifetime ever earned $700,000 in a few years. That's a tremendously high amount of money for a mechanic. But for anybody, I know I don't earn it. So, somebody has to prove to me and every other taxpayer around here how we got to 700 grand. Now again, when I hand in paperwork to our secretary treasurer of our local, if I need to be reimbursed for travel to Harrisburg or Philadelphia, I have to give them a receipt. And it has to be the original receipt, and I have to sign it. Why? Because the Scranton Federation of Teachers gets audited every August. And that auditor gives us a report, tells us what we're doing correctly and what we're not doing correctly, and we have to abide by that. So do you. Now, Mr. Di Pasquale has talked to this board not once, but twice. And before him, Auditor General Wagner talked to this board. And when I say this board, I don't mean you individually, I mean the Scranton School Board. Those reports and the letters of transmittal that came with them told repeatedly what has been done incorrectly time and time again. And the mistakes are continuing, and they're the same mistakes. So, it's amazing that that bell goes off in 4 minutes to figure this out. If you can't figure out that when you get a letter of transmittal from an auditor that you have to fix something, then we do have to clean house. And we have to figure out what's going on in the city, school district, and beyond. It is time to fix it. I hear you, Mr. Sheridan. And I'm going to ask you, Mr. Sheridan, and the rest of this board, to get the job done and fix it. And don't lay this on any teacher or paraprofessional in this room. Don't deny children the right to their education in this city, because we're watching, and we're good at it. And we're not the 32%. We're the 68%, and we're watching.
Kevin Kramer. Kevin Kramer. They have Kramer out here. I'm sorry. Yeah, is it yours? Yeah, that's K-R-A-M-E-R, Kramer. Nick Kramer.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had signed in after Rosemary, so I don't know.
Yes, you are signed in after Rosemary, but we skipped over, we didn't realize we skipped over Mr. Kramer. Is Mr. Kramer here? You've heard him? Okay, we'll give you next.
Good evening, directives. My name is Kevin Kays. I am a proud citizen of the city of Scranton for 65 years, taxpayer, member of the SFT, proud member of the SFT, proud member of the faculty here at Scranton High School. I love my job, I love my students, I love the colleagues that I work for as the Secretary Treasurer of the SFT. I have 4 numbers for you, percentages. 1%, 2%, 3%, and 11%. 1% is what the district has paid in increases annually, an average percentage of increases from 2007 to 2014. Actually is a little less than 1%. Your expenditure for teacher salaries, less than 1% increases. Matter of fact, in 2007, the cost for teacher salaries was about the same as it was in 2015. So it's not teachers that have created your deficit, for sure. You might say that you know, the increased cost of our pensions is the problem. You do have an increased cost in recent years because you didn't pay anything into it during a period of years. And during that same period of years, we were paying $400,000 too much in administrative fees for our health care because the past healthcare administrators weren't driving any competition. We learned that we were paying $400,000 too much per year when Sarah Picard was hired. That was the first thing she pointed out. She said, you're paying through the nose for administrative fees. So those monies could have been used to pay for our pensions, and then you wouldn't have that increased cost for pensions in these recent years. So that's 1% increases, average annual increases to your expenditure for SFT salaries. 2%. That's about the inflation rate that's occurred over the last decade. Average annual increase of 2%. So we're under, your expenditure for us is under the rate of inflation. It's not teacher salaries that's driving your deficit. 3%. 3% is about the amount of increase, average annual increase of your revenues. So any cries of poverty of not having enough money, you can't, you have nothing to stand on there. It is 3% average increase over the last 7 years. So, I mean, the Auditor General pointed that out. It's not a problem with your revenues from state, local, and federal sources. The state did cut back, but I think maybe they cut back because they saw you had enough to work with. And then 11%. 11% was the average annual increase for two transportation contracts over the last, over that same period, 2007 and 2014. So we're a bargain. Now, how have you been able to keep those down? Well, our class sizes have gotten bigger. You know, teachers who retired, all those positions weren't replaced. So you've done a good job. You've done an excellent job, matter of fact, there in saving money when it comes to our expenditures. Not so much when it comes to other things, as two Auditor Generals have pointed out over 3 audit reports. Some of the things he highlighted, chronic operating deficits, district officials and board failed to perform their fiduciary responsibilities regarding $26 million transportation contract. District transportation expenditures significantly exceed the PDA's final formula allowance. He talks about $11 million over the state formula, the state allowance, the final formula allowance. That's on top of the 2 prior, where several $million was identified, the 2 prior audit reports by Wagner and DePasquale. The district incorrectly reported the number of charter school and non-public students transported, resulting in overpayment of $128,000. I will. And on and on. The waste, it's been mentioned, to a mechanic for his health care and $700,000 worth of work, which was never verified by anyone. I just, you know, after the Auditor General's report at City Hall, one board member was interviewed afterwards, I saw on the news. And he said, well, we're going to have to make some hard decisions. He said, well, there's going to have to be cuts. And then he said, and next year, some people won't be teaching any longer. Now, how he went from hearing the 9 points of interest in Auditor General's report to teachers being laid off, I don't see the connection. I would ask one of you, any of you, to tell me how you connect those 2 dots. Thank you for your time.
Joan Hodewonitz,
Scranton resident and taxpayer. See this little gem? This is what I got when I graduated Central High School 50 years ago in 1957. I had a very good education, and you could not, I was homeless when I was a freshman. Our house caved. We were poor my entire youth. But I got a good education because there were good teachers, and it was a well-run school district. And I'm appalled to see what it looks like today. You know, I retired from the military in 1998 and came back to take care of my mother. And watching the politics in this city, in this county, and in this school district, you're one of 3 taxing authorities. I gotta say, you know, I think I'm in Disneyland Northeast. The first thing you ought to do is you ought to set up a hotline for fraud, waste, and abuse. I mean, there was really no good. And the first year, 2015, he sent 13 incidents to the district attorney for follow-up. Boy, do you need it. You and the city. But something's not been mentioned here. I love the teachers because I remember my education. But nobody's talking about, you just don't have a financial problem, which you do. You have one hell of a problem. But you've also got the embarrassment of your scores, the performance of your schools. You know, I remember it was a couple months ago that the Times-Tribune published the report of the 17 school districts in northeastern Pennsylvania, and you were at the very bottom. So not only do you have to plug potentially a $40 million hole, but you got to do it and raise those scores at the same time. Because if you win the lottery and I give you $50 million and your scores stay low, you're still flunking. You still deserve an F for performance. You know, sometimes I think what I would like to see for Christmas is the state to come in and take over, because it can't do a worse job than you've done. I too have read the Auditor General's report that just came out, the one he put out in 2013, Jack Wagner's report in 2012, the most recent report from Barbetti. And it's nothing new, okay? I want to know how you're going to get all that money back that got wasted from the mechanic, from employee number 1 who didn't pay his health care premiums, the $12 million overpaid on the bus contract. I want to know how you're going to get that back. I'm a retired citizen. I don't want to carry the burden for you. You shouldn't punish the teachers, you shouldn't punish the children, and you shouldn't punish the taxpayers. You're the biggest part of my property bill. So, you all ought to be hanging your heads in shame right now, okay? And you ought to get over your political problems. And if it means you all have to go and the state comes in and takes over, so be it. I just want to see some adult leadership from now on, okay? I don't think selling the admin building is going to be enough, okay? It's not going to fill a $40 million hole, and it's not going to solve your problem because you spend more than you take in year after year after year. And you keep doing that, the hole's just going to get bigger. So you better do the math. I thought if you went to school, you should all know how to add and subtract, okay, and read. So pay attention, because we have had it.
Don Hafner, Don Tobin Hafner.
Good evening. My name is Dawn Hafner. I'm a taxpayer. I am a 5th grade teacher at John F. Kennedy School, and I'm a proud member of SFT Local 1147. And I'm also a product of the Scranton School District, as well as my whole family. My children who are here are currently in the Scranton School District, and as well as my husband, who is a product of the district and also in maintenance. I just jotted down a few things. I'm not going to take up everybody's time because all of my colleagues and everybody else that spoke, awesome job. They all said the same thing over and over and over again. that we're all just befuddled about. Yesterday's paper, Pat Rogan was quoted as saying that if people don't think their kids are going to get a quality education, they're not going to live in this city. Well, a quality education does exist in the Scranton School District, because I can tell you a number of lawyers, doctors, attorneys, beauticians that I went to school with that continue to leave from this wonderful district. And then, Dr. Kirian, you were quoted in the paper as saying that I always felt a school district has to be strong in order to bring people into the city. The first thing people ask about is the school system. Well, I do believe the first thing you inquired about was, do you have to live here? And that should come out of your mouth. If you want to run the school district, you should reside in here. And then you continue to state that the school district is a driver of the success of the city, and I want to be a part of making that happen. You do? Because you left. Or actually, you never even came in. You just bought a house somewhere else. How could this district, I'll go on with, not know, again, this fabulous mechanic who made $672,321 over 6 years? That's a $112,053 yearly salary, not to mention the benefits and the medical benefits and dental benefits for 12 years. Now, a teacher with a master's degree and 30 credits and 16 years of service won't ever even see that. Not even close. Actually, the $112,053 is at least 3 starting salaries. Then I'll go on to, with that being said, that the answer to the district's budgetary bleeding is to cut our jobs, all their jobs, affect our students, cut programs. Are you kidding me? We're the hardworking faculty and staff for the Scranton School District. We're in the trenches every single day. Every time I read an email, every time I open my email, there's something else that I'm being held responsible to do. And we do it. We go, okay, and we do it. We do what's asked of us. So we're always putting the students first. So besides considering cutting everything, I have to ask, did any of you, the board, did any of you suggesting all of the administration takes a 5% pay cut and gives back? We live in a distressed city. We are economically disadvantaged. No one, I think, needs to make over 6 figures working for the Scranton School District. Take a 5% pay cut. Don't take your raise the next couple of years, because my husband didn't get one in maintenance, I didn't get one, and a lot of my colleagues didn't get one. Parents, staff, faculty, we didn't get anything. And as far as saving money, I know everybody mentioned that awesome mechanic. Gotta take my car there. How about this whole lovely principal retreat we go on every summer for a week? That's a hefty bill. We're paying that too. I don't think the principals need to go away for a week to a retreat. Okay, so, and again, I did chuckle though at the fact that psychiatric help is only 5 cents.
Good evening, board. I am here because I thought tonight that you were going to vote on our contract that we had negotiated. And sadly, I found out tonight that you didn't even put it on the agenda. We negotiated in good faith. Were we happy with what we negotiated? Absolutely not. Were we trying to help this board and this district out? Absolutely we were. And I have one question. How do I explain to our attorney that this didn't go on the agenda tonight because we were supposed to vote on this on Thursday? And we have been working to explain to our people why some of them are losing their jobs. And if you think that that has been fun and that has been easy, I can tell you it has not been. And now Thursday will come, and Thursday will go, and there will be no vote because you're not voting on it tonight. And I want to know why it did not make the agenda tonight. I'm really, really disheartened.
Let me ask the solicitor first. Mr. Menorah?
Well, I knew that they were voting on it on Thursday of this week, but it was never made clear to me that we had to vote on it first. I'm not sure that that's...
Oh, it was made clear at our last negotiation session when we were told, and Frank Burke, can you back me up on it, that it would be on the agenda tonight, and then we said we would vote on it on Thursday.
Hang on, I haven't
So
finished.
don't say that it was not clear. It was clear.
Hang on, I haven't finished, please. Okay, please go ahead. Additionally, Mr. Sheridan, there was some dispute over the number of personnel days, which was not resolved really until this evening. Okay, and that was really the principal hang-up. That was a clause that we agreed to and signed off on with a lesser amount of personal days, that the union then asked for more personal days, and I did get the okay on that this evening. So I'm sorry, but that was a change from what we signed off on, and that's...
And we spoke about that earlier in the week, and I thought that that was taken care of, but okay. I'll give you that one.
Okay.
But however, you could have called me on the phone and said that it wasn't going to be on tonight's agenda. I could have let our people in New York know that it was not going to be on the agenda. How do I explain this to them? Because Jim Runkle, our lawyer, was told at our last negotiating meeting that it was going to be on the agenda. And I can't ask my membership to vote on a contract before you give it approval, because if we vote on it and we approve it and then you don't,
Ms. Lord, may I say something, please?
how is that going to look?
You guys could, if we could work it out, I'll call a special meeting to get it approved. If you guys worked it out, if it wasn't supposed to be on the agenda tonight, Mr. Menorah, is that okay?
Yeah, you can do that.
Mr. Chair, we did discuss this at the last work session.
Excuse me.
We did discuss this at the last work session, and it was my impression that it would be on the agenda tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Schuster.
I didn't know it was going to be on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr.
And again, Tom, just by point of explanation, okay, if you remember, even in that particular work session, you and I had a discussion, and there was some disagreement about the number of personal days, which differs from what was signed off on by the union. So I had to get an okay from the board.
You knew at our last meeting what we signed and what we had asked for. Frank Burke, am I right on the paper that our union signed? And that had 4 days on it. We signed that paper.
No.
I have it in my car if you would like me to go and get it.
No, the number of personnel,
I have it in my car if you would like me to go and get it.
If I can speak, please.
I'd like to speak too, just real quickly. I think everyone on this board has been aware of what was going on. I have to say that the concessions made that I saw by your union is well above and beyond a lot of the things that I've seen in the past. I know that the additional 1 day has been discussed, and I agreed to it. I'd be more than willing to vote on that tonight, right now.
Mr. Menorah, can we, under new business, after a resolution, to approve that tonight?
If you vote to suspend the rules, I think I've sufficiently explained the sign-off articles, if that's what you choose to do. My preference would be, quite frankly, to do it in a more detailed and orderly fashion with a special meeting. I think if we advertised it, we could have it Wednesday night.
The stipulation is just the personal day.
Just the personal day. And that was what I needed approval on because it was a difference in the sign-off. And I did talk to Mr. Runkle about that, so maybe it was a miscommunication. But I would prefer it to be done by special meeting where I have a chance to review with everyone each and every sign-off article so that there's no misunderstanding.
Wednesday night, okay? Yes.
We can't vote on it on Thursday. We're voting on it on Thursday night. Thank you for your time. I will let Jim Runkle know.
Okay, that exhausts our public comment. for tonight. Before we move on, I'd like to suspend the rules, and I need to read off a letter by from Director Timlin, November 13, 2017. Scranton School District 425, North Washington Avenue, Scranton, Pennsylvania. I am giving official notice that I will be resigning my position on the Scranton School Board effective immediately this day, November 13, 2017. Thank you for those who have supported me in my endeavor. James J. Timlin. I'm going to entertain a motion to accept Mr. Timlin's resignation tonight. Do you hear a motion? Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Mrs. Orr?
On the question?
On the question, I'm sorry.
On the question, I'll be voting yes to accept it, but I would like to hold off until December, take the full 30 days, so we can have the new board be part of that process, the decision-making process for the appointment.
I will also agree with that. We have a second on the board. Anyone else have any question? Roll call.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
No.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
No.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
No.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
4 affirmative, 3 negative, motion passes.
Mrs. Orr, I would ask to move forward and start the advertising procedure for replacing Mr. Timlin's position. Okay, we'll go to accept the meetings of the minutes. Here in a second on the question. Roll call.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
Budget and Finance Director Schuster.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Budget Finance Committee that the following resolution be considered. The list of bill payments in accordance with the bill payment approval policy be approved as per attached. To move that orders be drawn upon the Treasury as followed. November 13, 2017, of $598,718.85 respectfully submitted.
Second. You hear a second of the question? Roll call.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Budget and Finance Committee that the following resolution be considered. The exception bill list as per the bill payment policy for the period ending November 13, 2017 be approved as attached. Respectfully submitted.
I heard the second. Is there a second under the question? Roll call.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Budget and Finance Committee and the Superintendent present the following resolution for your consideration. Be it resolved that the delinquent tax report for the month of September 2017 be accepted. A copy of this monthly detail is available for review in the business office. And the net to the district is $783,233.82 respectfully submitted.
Second.
You're in a second on the question. Roll call.
Mr. McAndrew? Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Budget and Finance Committee and the Superintendent present the following for your approval. Be it resolved that the Treasurer's Report for the period ending September 2017 be accepted, or 2017 be accepted as follows, with the balance in the general account of $22,227,721.58 respectively submitted.
You're in second on the question. Roll call.
Mrs. Zaleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of Directors, it is the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Budget and Finance Committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas in accordance with the real estate tax law, any property not sold at judicial sale shall be listed in the repository of unsold properties. The following properties have been sold and will be returned to the tax-paying status with the Tax Claim Bureau. Therefore, it be resolved, there's also some addresses attached, 2647 Jackson Street, 1606 to 1608 Washburn Street, 1530 Swetland Street, 428 Deacon Street, 2433 to 35 Hermans Ave, 612 Barrett Court, and corner of Greenbush and Ray Street. Therefore, be it resolved that the School District of the City of Scranton does hereby approve the above referenced properties for depository sale pursuant to the real estate tax law in section 627 of said act. This resolution is subject to the approval of other taxing bodies. Respectfully submitted.
Here in a second on the question. Roll call.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Zaleski?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Budget and Finance Committee and the Superintendent of Schools presents the following resolution for your consideration. Be it resolved that the financial statements for calendar year ending December 31st, 2016, as prepared by Michael A. Barbetti, CPA, LLC, be accepted as per the enclosure. And these statements were previously sent to the members of the Scranton School Board and be respectfully submitted.
And second on the question. Roll call.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Zaleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of Directors, it is the recommendation of the Budget and Finance Committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas the School District of the City of Scranton has recently been approached regarding the approval of Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistant Act, or LERTA, for Main Ave Swetland LLC and South Scranton Express Marts Inc., located on South Main Avenue, Scranton, and identified as PIN numbers. Several of them enclosed here. Therefore, it be resolved that the School District of the City of Scranton does hereby approve the use of the above referenced property for use as a LERTA site in accordance with the laws of the Commonwealth and subject to approval of the City of Scranton and the County of Lackawanna. Respectfully submitted.
Here in a second on the question. Roll call.
Under the question,
Go ahead.
is there a time frame associated with this project?
LERTA is a 10-year tax abate. And 10-year tax abate only on the approval. So the current tax will continue to be paid.
Okay, is this similar to the one that we did over
Yes,
at the?
exactly the same.
That was also 10 years?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Zaleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
Anything else under Budget and Finance, Director Schuster?
No, that is all.
Thank you, Mr. Schuster. Director Schuster. Under Education, Director McAndrew?
Yes. Members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, the Superintendent and the Education Committee request board approval of staff attendance to conferences and meetings for professional development, relevant to their specific duties and responsibilities as per attached. Board approval is contingent upon the required approval of all supervisors, principals, or administration, respectively submitted.
Here in a second. Here in a second. Under the question. Roll call.
Mr. Lush? Yes. Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Zaleski? Yes. Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
Anything else under Education, Director McAndrew?
No, that is all.
Thank you, sir. Policy Committee, Director Casey.
To the members of the Board and the School Directors of the City of Scranton, it's the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Policy Committee that the following resolution is approved. Whereas the following policies have been revised by the recommendation of the Pennsylvania School Board Association, and whereas the following policy is to be implemented by the recommendation of the Pennsylvania School Board Association, and whereas the following policies are to be rescinded by the recommendation of the Pennsylvania School Board Association based on content being merged into policies 103 and 104. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Scranton School Board of Directors approve the policy additions, deletions, and revisions as recommended by the superintendent and PSBA. Respectfully submitted.
Here in a second?
Second.
Here in a second on the question? Roll call.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
Anything else, Director Casey, on the policy committee?
That is all.
Thank you, sir. Personnel, Director Oleski.
Yes. To the members of the Board of Directors of the City of Scranton, is the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Personnel Committee that the attached list of appointments, assignments, resignations, rescinded positions, and leave of absence be approved. Appointments are effected upon the receipt of proper criminal records, immigration, medical and child abuse records. Salaries are in accordance to collective bargaining units. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
Here in a second on the question?
Yes, President Sheridan, I just want to thank the individuals who are retiring, whether it be in December of this year or December of next year. Thank you for their service in the Scranton School District.
Thank you, Mr. Director Casey. First, Director Oleski, anything else on the personnel?
Oh, yeah, you know what, on the question, some of these, the effective date's going out to 2018. Is there a reason why they're putting in right now?
That was part of the incentive.
Okay.
So certain towns, there was certain groups that could take it either in December of 17 or December of 18. Do I recall, remember that?
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Personnel Committee that the following be approved. This is to clarify the retirement incentives for the confidential secretaries. The portion of the confidential retirement incentive that indicates confidential secretaries should receive what 201 clerks received refers to the incentive of the current CBA for 302 BJ and not any special incentive outside the CBA. Respectfully submitted.
Here's a second on the question. Roll call.
On the question, I had asked Mr. Menorah about this before. Do we know who wrote this incentive?
The original incentive?
The original incentive that just stated.
I've got a question for you. I just want to make sure I understand your question. Are you talking about the incentive in the collective bargaining agreement? The confidential incentive or the special incentive?
So we have the incentive in the collective bargaining agreement, which, from my understanding, the current MOU replaces that. But in the writing of this incentive, it just stated, or whatever the 1201s receive.
Correct.
So my question is, who was the individual that wrote the incentive that included the phrase, or what the 1201s receive?
Going back, I would probably say that was myself. I know that, we sat with the staff in doing it. Quite frankly, the purpose of it, or the intent in it, is what's indicated in this resolution.
This is for my clarification.
Yeah, so it's to clarify. This is to clarify that.
Yes.
That's the purpose of this, to clarify.
All right, thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Superintendent and the Personnel Committee that the following appointments be approved, as per attached. Appointments are effective upon the receipt of proper criminal records, immigration, medical, and child abuse records. Salaries are in accordance to the collective bargaining agreements. Respectfully submitted.
Here in a second.
Second.
Question on the question?
I have something on the question. As per attached, there's 11 PCAs. I'm going to be voting no. I'm not voting no because these services are required, and I understand that. We had the opportunity a month and a half ago to, within a week of that time, to be in compliance and use an outside agency just for 1 year, which would have saved us a lot of money. So I'm voting no for the principle of it, but not against the service that's being provided to the students.
All right, on the question, Mr. Gaynor, in the past, we've substituted these out, correct? We've used them a substitute at a per day rate, correct?
For some services, yes, we have.
All right. At this point, we're hiring, right? These would be considered new hires, correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Lapp, are these positions included in the budget?
I don't believe it would be, Mr. Sonny could speak more to that, but I assume no official.
All right, thank you. I will be voting no because these positions are not included in the budget, and they are also new hires, and we have a current hiring freeze.
I understand. These are essential positions. We need to be in compliance with children's IEPs. These are essential positions. We have a hiring freeze on non-essentials.
I agree. We are in non-compliance now. If we do not hire these people, we're going to be in deeper trouble with the state than if we didn't. So we need to, they're essentials. Anybody else on the board on the question?
Yeah, it's almost a second marking period. We had a chance to be in compliance a month and a half ago. Instead of hiring these people forever, nothing against these fine people that apply. But we had the opportunity to use an outside service for 1 year to save money. And we could have saved a lot of money, and we didn't. Instead, we handed out 11 jobs.
I don't know when it was guaranteed that we can have those positions filled in a week. I don't think that was ever said, Mark. I'm sorry.
It was.
With all that being said, I have two comments. One being the second individual on the list. She shares the last name of mine. I have no relation to this individual. Just want to make that clear. And second, I'm going to be voting yes as a principal because of the fact that I don't necessarily agree with contracting officers to work with union employees as well. I don't like that, whether it's one way or another. It's got to be decided, and that is why I'm voting yes.
Roll call.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
No.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
No.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
5 affirmative, 2 negative, motion passed.
That's all I have for personnel. That was it.
Okay. Thank you, Director Oleski. Special Education Director Oleski.
To the members of the Board of Directors, the Superintendent and the Special Education Committee hereby recommends the following resolution for your consideration. Whereas the school district and the city of Scranton, and subject to administration proceedings and civil suits within the appropriateness of the student's special education program, has been challenged and suits have been filed in the matter of ZSUDR 19449-1718, JCODR 19448-1718, ZCODR-19243-16-17, ML-19823-17-18, CP-19821-1718. And whereas the parties have reached a settlement agreement in the matter upon the terms and conditions previously provided for your consideration, therefore be it resolved that the settlements as indicated above be approved upon the terms and conditions as described, and the superintendent or director of special education are hereby authorized to execute any or all documents necessary to consummate the matter. Respectfully submitted.
Here in a second on the question. Roll call.
Under the question, Mr. Menard, do we have the totals for these, or do we have the prices up yet?
I can get those for you, but I don't have them this evening. Mr. Schuster and almost every one of these cases were handled by special ed counsel per the recommendations of our financial consultant going forward. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Roll call?
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
That's all I have, President Sharon.
Thank you, Director Oleski. Transportation, Director Lesh.
Yes. Resolution P1 to the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton. The Superintendent and the Transportation Committee submits the following resolution for your approval of transportation for the 2017-2018 school year. As per attached, I so move.
Second.
Any second on the question? Roll call.
And that's how you do the way. Mr. Lesh?
Excuse me?
We don't understand what's attached.
It's one individual here. Didn't you get a copy of the agenda? Do you want me to read it out? I'll read it out. That's not a problem. Okay, let me resume that. Contractor and address, Monica Lee, 1701 Bidston Avenue, Scranton, PA, 18505. The amount is .56 cents per mile. The actual cost is 151 pupil days at $1,235.18. I so move.
Second.
Here in a second on the question. Roll call.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
Under new business?
Mr. Sheridan, through your business, members of the 32 Chair would like you to do exactly what you said earlier tonight and vote on our contract, if that is at all possible. We would take this into account.
I'd like to make a motion to do that.
Here in a second, a motion, here in a second.
Hang on, I don't have a problem with the motion. I just want it to reflect 2 personal days rather than 1, okay?
Yes.
I have a motion, I have it seconded under the question. No question?
Other question, I'd just like to
Go ahead.
thank the union very much for all their efforts, and it does not go unnoticed every single day. I think about what you guys do here, and I'm very appreciative of everything that you've done.
On the question, at this point, to clarify this, are we having a special meeting this Wednesday? So,
They
no.
couldn't do it on Wednesday. We have to take it to a vote on Thursday. Can't hear back here.
Okay, we have second motion on it. Anything else on the question?
Now, there's a question of 2 personal days instead of 1, John?
That is correct. So that I wanted the motion to reflect that the only difference between what I had described to the board in the work session is that there'll be 2 personal days instead of 1.
Okay, that's in the record, right?
This is where you have that?
Okay.
Okay. Can I have roll call, please?
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
Okay, under new business, I have something else. Dr. Carey, last year we talked about different drills within the schools. I had a couple people approach me about active shooter drills. I know we talked about it last year. I'd like to know where we're at with that and when are we going to do them this year?
So you have to do 1 fire drill a month, and my directive to them was they have to do 1 additional drill. So we're working with the committee that Dr. Carey put together during the beginning of the summer, and there's multiple staff on that from all of our different unions, as well as the SPD was part of that. So we're working on putting those plans together. So once those plans are formalized, then we'll execute the plans that were written. It began this summer at a meeting in August where all those parties were involved in the initial presentation. But we're doing 1 fire drill per month, and then 1 additional drill beyond that for what I recommended was a full building evacuation drill. I didn't say specifically active shooter, but that you were practicing that exodus.
Okay, but there's going to be active shooter drills incorporated into this at some point?
Yeah, and the SROs are, the SROs involved at different levels.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
And that also has been brought up, just so you know, the in-service committee, so we've been working with different things through that as well, but, yeah.
Thank you.
Also, also a new business, do we know where we're at with the multi-year plan for, with the budget from PM? Did they come back to us on where we're gonna go with the timeline?
Yes.
And when that would be connected by them, their recommendations?
They've submitted recommendations. They've asked the board to meet and tier the recommendations into tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, and spread out the tiers over a certain number of years, 3 to 5, depending on the board's pleasure.
Also, in new business, have we approached the IRS on the 1099 forms and recouping any of the money from the mechanic?
Mr. Sunday is not present tonight. I'm looking to Mr. Laffey to understand whether he has word or not, if anything has been done on that.
I have one more thing under new business, if I may.
Do we know what he said?
What did he say? No.
Can you repeat what he said? I couldn't hear him back there. My ears are pretty good.
He said at this point in time, they're waiting for the administration response to the Attorney General, and at that point, they're going to proceed with that as a board approval, which I would be moving towards approaching the IRS for that.
But aren't they part of the administration? So what response do they need to wait for?
The state gives us a formula to follow, the Auditor General, in responding to the audit findings. Last week, we received the letter of what we need to do and the process we need to do and the timeline from the date of receiving the letter. So we have scheduled time now to work on the responses, and they will be submitted to the Auditor General within 45 days after we received the letter, which was last week.
Thank you for confirming that.
Okay.
Also, like I said, I have one more thing. I don't know, about a month ago, we received in our packets a bid list. Remember, Mr. Laffey? And it's every entity that we do business with, whether it be contracts, RFQ, or RFPs. I would like to recommend that, for next month's meeting, that we have a resolution to make sure that we put all these services out to bid. I don't think we did everything.
No, at this point, we did request a list of the
under the President's report.
So we did get a list of the bids, however, we had not addressed it.
Can I ask a question about the bidding process?
I'm sorry?
May I ask a question about the bidding process? And part of the problem within our county, within the district here, is all financial issues. And while you're going out to bid and you're looking for the lowest possible bidder, one of the things that we should be looking at as a county and as taxpayers is supporting our own local economy. So are all of the bids being pulled from businesses that are capable of supplying the services from within our own county to encourage and strengthen the economy here, not pull business from New Jersey or New York or Ohio? Are we procuring all of our supplies through local suppliers, or are we doing it online through the cheapest source from a different state, and then the money that's being paid in taxes is going to those states? We need to refocus where we're spending our money so that it comes back to us by hiring more people within our own county.
Also under new business, Ginny, before our Monday, November 27th work session, can we please schedule a purchasing committee meeting with obviously our business office, the city, the county, and potentially the NEIU to have what some city councilmen offered as a cooperative purchasing, just to see what we can do that we duplicate and potential services that we can help and have the city help out with this as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Under the President's report, I would like to say, because this possibly may be one of my last meetings, and I would like to bring this out, that our board, I am very proud of our whole board, because we work very hard without any pay. We work numerous hours to make sure that our students get the best education that we can. And I want to get this out front, that the employees and the people that got benefits and the mechanic that got the benefits was done 16 years ago. Excuse me, did I have the floor? You had before. Can I have the floor? Thank you. 16 years ago, before any one of us were on this board, it went through many audits. We went through many audits and wasn't picked up by anybody. We knew about it when we found out about it and we acted on it. The employee, one employee that was receiving the benefits and that was called upon by our solicitor and our board, and he paid back $27,000 to this district when we found about it. And when we found out about the mechanic, we moved forward with that. But I would like to say, I'd like to see anyone walk a mile in our shoes. What we do, we come here not only every month on meetings. Excuse me, can I have the floor? We allowed everybody to speak. We come here every Monday, or every once everybody says once a month we come here. We're here sometimes hours upon hours, days upon days. Myself as the president, I'm in the administration building sometimes 2, 3, 4 hours a day, working to make the best education for our children that we can do. And it's unfair for anybody to come up to this podium and say that anybody on this board should be taken out in handcuffs. I applaud that. But I would just like to say that, okay? Please look at what a lot of this stuff was done 16 years ago. Before this board or prior boards were here. We are doing everything we can to address it and make sure it's the mechanics no longer on our benefits, that the employees are no longer on our benefits, and it was this board that brought that stuff up. I just want to bring that out, and okay. And I just wanted to say that I love the Scranton School District. I enjoyed the 8 years I've been on the Scranton School Board and the 2 years as president of your school board. Thank you very much to the citizens of the city of Scranton. And with that, I'm going to ask for an adjournment. A motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Your second? Adjourn. Thank you.